judgment of the gods. The judgment of the gods shall not be. I await the gods' response. The judgment of the gods shall not be refuted.
Hello there, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay video. This is a build for Thea, Flame Slash, and if you're looking for the build that probably does the highest single target damage of any build in game right now, you've come to the right place. The map clear for this build is just average. You'll find much better map clear builds out there, but if you're not here for the map clear, you're here to see big numbers from your character and to delete boss. The exact build that you're going to see showcase is a build for killing Uber Keegan, Path of Brave 5, and all the other hardest content in the game. This build has way more damage than you need for those. Therefore, when you are spamming maps, you should use alternative builds. I'll post them below along with this build, along with the talent trees, and you can just look at those and make some adjustments to build for mapping. Now I'll go into specifics of the build. Alright, let's take a look at the skill and talent setup. This is the exact setup that I am using on the target dummy. You can see from here, this is the end of the target dummy, and I'll have a target dummy at the end of this video. Just to show that I actually did it, but let's take a look at the skills first. So this is Flame Slash. I do have a level 21. It helps a little, obviously, but you don't need a level 21. I have level 21 gems and everything. So this is my combo. I've tried other combos constantly. I've tried Steam Roll, I tried Fire Explosion, I tried Mark, and it is somewhat hard to tell which is the best because you need so many tests to do it and there's so much variance, but I believe this will be the best. For this, I just had Machine Guard just for the DPS test because you need to be hitting the target dummy the entire time or else it stops. This is just typical Life Source setup. This is my Leap Slam setup. When I am set up for flame slash damage, but you can see often I'll switch things out and leap attack will be my primary attack just for a lot of trash. And it was while leveling up. This is a Fearless Warcry setup. You will need cost conversion because there is no mana in this build. You cannot cast for mana. Attacks you can cast with mana because of -10 mana cost on the talent tree, but for these actives, for this active, you must use cost conversion. For auras, I tried many different combos, and this is still could be a better combo, but this is a combo I used in this test, and I find this is pretty good. I put in acuteness imbue just because it puts bleed on the target. I have no other source of that, and it synergizes with other things in the build to put bleed on the target. This is typical curse on hit setup. It's on life, pretty typical. This is a cast on crit. I did use precise seal. You don't have to. You can use a normal seal. You just use up a little more of your life. And this typical fixate, bloodthirst, and mania. And let's look at the talent tree. This is where a lot of the magic happens with this build. First, I start with the God of Might. Let's see some. You can just look at the tree. I'll have a talent trees in the description below. But you always take this. I have this just because life. It's good to have some life. And I take this. This is a very good tree. There's 36 talent points here. And you should only fill it up once you have the next 2 talent trees full. And because some of the best talents in the game are usually in the first tree. Next, I take the Brave. Brave is very good with this build. As far as the talent tree itself, there aren't many choices. But one of the reasons I took it, the Brave, there's a few reasons, but it has the best strength nodes. It's 9% strength and 45%, plus 45. I wanted life and I wanted resist because resists are very hard to get in this build. And for minor talents, I've joined Farsus to use offhand damage in the main hand. And I have Formless, which is 150% Warcry effect. This node is an enormous DPS increase for the build. Enormous.
In my childhood,
I also forgot to tell you what's in God of Might. It's because it's very typical. It'll be what every fire build will take at the end game, which is burnout and feeling. Feeling is one of the best major talents in the entire game. That's why you go fire versus other elements often because of this node. And lastly is Warlock. Warlock is for a Thea focused build. Warlock does so much for a Thea focused build that unless you're wearing Exquisite Box, preferably with the Corrode, which probably starts at 10k FE right now, you take Warlock because it has so many benefits to Thea. I'm taking Warlock with a melee character because it is the best tree for the third tree. You can take Merciless. This is one of the reasons why you take Warlock. This particular talent, the 18-point talent. And take Off Beaten Track. This doesn't help as much as it would on a low life build. Using a ton of auras. But it still helps. +3 support skills help with EPs on Discord. It's about 11.2% extra damage on your main skill, but it also helps the support in all your other skills, so it's more than that. Estimating in my head, this is probably worth about 16% damage, maybe more, because of the Warcry. The multiplier doesn't actually matter because you're not taking advantage of precise seal conversion for low life. Um, but I'm not set up for ailment, so Dirty Tricks is not very good. It's not better than what you get from here. Some particular talents, I'm taking 3 sealed mana. I used to have to take this, and you may, when you balance your auras and what auras you finally want in your final build, uh, you may want to take this also. Out of these trees, this is the only source of minus sealed mana. So you're going to have to work with this. And the auras you can fit with using these nodes. Other than that, some very important nodes are activation skill effect. Very good. It's a plus 25%. The active skills for melee are the absolute best in the game. They give absolutely enormous damage. And other than that, you always take +1 all skills. This is just too good. I have 3 points in resist because, once again, resist are very hard to get in this build. You get resist wherever you can get it. Other than that, you can just look it over. I'll have the talent tree once again in the description, and you can look it over.
The stars
As far as packs, I do have some higher level pets. I don't have all the legendary pets, so once again, you can see I take resist in the tree. I even take minus fizz here. This exact tree I used for the target dummy test. Other than that, it's all DPS. Just take all DPS. One thing to note is that if you have any double damage pets, double damage is bad to take on your Pact Tree because you're already at 100% double damage with when you add up all your buffs, focus stacking, fixate, you're already at 100%. So never take double damage from your Pact Tree. And that is skill setup. Now let's look at the exact gear that I'm using. This helmet is very important. There's a translation error on this helmet. It says plus 30% attack damage per 1000 strength on the corrupt, but it's missing a word. It should say additional attack damage. So if you have 2000 strength, it's 60% additional attack damage. It's a multiplier. All your damage times 1.6. This helmet is enormous damage. It was unobvious to me until a friend pointed it out. Exalt Slam pointed out how good this helmet is, and then he could speak Chinese and he knew the Chinese text, which actually has additional attack damage. Big difference. You can get this double corrupted with strength or something else, but that's going to be very expensive. Just with this, I bought this helmet for like 400 FE. Now, I just recently bought this with extra strength. I would actually take less strength if I could get maybe 80% plus strength if I could also get a double corroded this. They are fairly expensive though, and so I haven't bought one yet. Just elemental resists are so hard to get in this build, so you try to get it wherever you can. Oh, and this chest will cost about I had a 58% one, and that only cost me back when I bought it like 300 FE. This one cost about 1600. But you don't need this chest with the corrode. The lower one, you still do billions of damage with the lower. This one you're trying to do 15, 16 billion damage plus. You want to maximize. All right, this is a fairly. I bought this a while ago. I knew I was going to do this build 2 weeks ago, so I bought this about 12 days ago. I looked up the price of a similar neck, and it is expensive now. But I bought this neck for 200 FE. Particularly, it was bad because people didn't want it because of max energy. This stat does nothing. But you should try to get one with both 2 all stat corrupts and 1 strength stacking. Those are the only 3 important stats. When you do a search, go for that corrupt and look for 1 strength stack, and whatever other 2, whatever benefits the character, just take it. This glove is crafted. I have to recraft this because first one I corroded with implicit of erosion damage. But this is what I would probably go with. You could accept strength plus dex here instead of playing strength. I was lacking strength at the time, so I just went for playing strength. And a resist. You needed resist. I was lucky to hit the resist. It was actually wanted to hit melee skill, but the resist was also very good. I want to hit anything actually, other than this. You don't need any more conversion, but you need a conversion glove at the end game. You need a conversion glove, and you can find one without melee skill, without percentage strength. You can find one fairly cheap on the market. And here comes the belt, though. This belt, if a lot of people do this belt, this build, this belt is going to be hardest, one of the hardest pieces to get. Because I checked the market, there aren't many up there. Two very important mods is Maximize Focus Blessing and No Loose Ends Corroded. In my opinion, the Maximum Focus Blessing is a little more important because it's hard to get Focus Blessing in this build, enough of it. Because it's melee, you can't use neck and other parts to get Focus Blessing, neck or glove, because you need those for other things in this build. In the caster build, you'll get Focus Blessing from neck and gloves. If you do not do loose ends, it is optional. It does give a lot of damage with other synergies. It'll give, with all the synergies, it gives about, it'll double your damage. You can use another strategy if these get too expensive. Just I get into that later though. But if you're gonna do the build like I do, you need these two corrodes. These other three are just bonus. Get whatever you can. Try to get resist, little damage, just anything that might be beneficial. You can see that I guess armor is beneficial, but it's not that beneficial. This will be tough to get. This is the hardest piece to get. These boots I crafted these. Finally got lucky after I wrecked a pair of gloves. I think if I did this over again, instead of plus 24% max life, I would probably get flat life. I haven't done the math, but they're both pretty equal. I think both would be very acceptable. It's very nice to get this extra damage in. This is a multiplier, so this is nice to get. Fire skill levels, obviously nice. Extra skill levels on melee skills are still very good, because as you get extra skill levels on your melee skill, all the flat damage that you're adding from strength stacking is more effective. So plus melee is not a bad stat. It's just that sometimes there's a better stat. For example, on weapons, they're just other stats just do a little more damage. But plus 2 melee on a weapon is actually not that bad. It does damage. And as you can see, these boots, double strength, flat strength. Flat strength is a little harder to get because in other strength stacking builds, they will have more flat strength on the rings. So try to get some good strength from there, and a resist. I would recommend T1 resist whenever you can get it. Out of all the important things, try to get T1 resist first in both your gloves and boots, because you need resist badly in this build. I used to have Infinity with plus all elemental resists, and that really helped back then. But now I switched to these, and now I'm struggling on resist. Rings, there is no other choice. Thea builds are not beneficial versus other classes unless you get some focus blessing stacks up. Your first step is to get enough focus blessings from your rings and maybe the belt to get up to 8 total max focus blessings. So you have 8 focus, 4 agility, and 4 tenacity. That is your number one goal. You get that any way possible. You get focus blessing. Once you get 8 focus blessings, then you can work on 10-5. which is 10 focus blessings and 5 agility. I'm at the 10-5 mark, so this is why I have plus agi. But if, even 8-4, you're doing massive damage. Even at 8-4, you're going to have 100% double damage uptime. And then therefore, your focus blessing will just affect your quad damage uptime. For this particular pair, this was about 100 FE for this ring. This ring was more expensive. This is like a luxury item to get to 10. It is very hard to get to 10 focus blessings without a ring like this. So don't like have a goal having 10 focus blessings like me. Even with 8 focus blessings, you'll still do double-digit billions DPS as long as you have everything else. Now here comes the weapons, and weapons is a special situation. This is Exalt Slam helped me. I saw his build. He talked. He was great. I would not go with these 5 stats: added strength, low life, flat strength, gear attack speed, and gear attack critical strike rating. These suffixes should never change. They should be these suffixes. If you're going low budget, you hit crit damage, it's okay. It's less damage, less consistency, because your crit chance will go down. So sometimes you'll spike damage when you crit, and sometimes you won't. So, but this will be more consistent and a little higher damage. Now this low life is related to this belt because no loose ends. This corrode is when your current life is above 95%, you are considered as low life. So you have to be only below 95%. And you are always below 95% because you're reserving about that on your life. So if you have this belt and want to use a strategy, there are other strategies available because these belts are kind of hard to get with max focus blessing on it. But if you use that strategy, you do want low life on here. And as far as physical damage is slightly better than AoE and elemental damage, but AoE elemental damage is fine. I had an AoE and elemental damage, so don't worry about hitting physical on your primary axe. Just other two are just fine. But everything else, if you follow the build, is necessary. This corrode is terrible. I can't. I've been trying to hit literally any corrode. I just can't hit any corrode. And your base weapon should be conflict war axe. So there's no other choice. It has the highest base attack speed, and that's one of the most important stats you'll have because everything will be based on your base attack speed. Your flat actually doesn't matter as much because you're generating so much flat phys damage from strength stacking that the math works out it's not as influential from the base. For example, Scarlet has I think up to 80 to 130 flat. That is very little flat difference when you consider you have so much of strength stacking. Now here's the thing. Your offhand, there are 2 choices, Scarlet Axe and the Berserker Axe, because they have the highest base. The base physical damage is the highest on them. And that's all you're looking for on your offhand. High base. Other stats to worry about. Since you are using your offhand and adding it to your main hand damage, you want as much base fizz without wrecking it. Now, I haven't had enough currency to experiment with every single combo with the offhand. See if flat fizz on the offhand. I don't think it will though. Just doing some initial calculator math, this is still better. Low life is just, it's additional damage. So this mod, when combined, considering that you're always at low life, is 30% additional damage, 1.3 multiplier to your damage. And no matter, even if you get more flat, it just doesn't, and you increase this to add to your main hand damage, it just doesn't do enough compared to this. These suffixes are, I consider the best in slot suffixes. This is crit damage, strength, always flat strength, And then I put this down. This is flat attack critical strike rating against bleeding enemies. You normally can't bleed
Only
at
my
all in this,
own fate
at all of these builds.
remains in shadow.
But I specifically put in precise acuteness imbue so I can bleed. I normally had a setup with weapon amplification at level 21, precise weapon, and even with the precise and all this level 21, attack speed, extra fizz, I just found out I did a little better with acuteness. It also saved me 1 talent point because I didn't need that 1 minus 3% sealed mana. And then it also allowed me to put in Superman because I previously had a restrain here. So I have more attack and cast speed. And remember, when I have more attack and cast speed, I have more cooldown reduction also. Because cooldown reduction from Warlock is dependent on your attack and cast speed. So this does multiple things. Thank you all for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and I hope to see a lot more Theas out there. I think she is the best class. Right now, I'm doing a DPS parse on the target dummy. The first 10 seconds is at normal time, and the rest can be speeded up. We don't have time to watch 28 minutes of this. And at the end of the video, after this parse, is a full Path of the Brave 5 run. If you have any questions, you can always join the official Discord. I'm usually hanging out in the Thea channel, and there are many other people who are always happy to help. I hope you have a good day and good hunting in Torchlight.